Hello and good morning and welcome. I'm Dr. Dan Miller, Historical Solutions LLC. You're on the 250 River with Dr. Dan 250 years ago today. Real people, real stories, and real life from that time as we head toward American founding in July of 1776, which will 250 years ago for us be from the vantage point of July 2026. Hope you're doing well. Where I live, Indianapolis, Indiana, today, in the middle of February 2025, we've got a fresh 2 inches of snow on the ground and some gusty winds, and it's a doggone cold day outside. So, hope you're warm where you are, whether indoors or out, and thank you again for being with us. This is episode 15, I believe it is. Our sponsor today is none other than Tony Fortune. No, he's not the latest member of a rehagged Avengers team, but Tony Fortune is from the town of Philadelphia in the colony of Pennsylvania, and Tony wants you to know that he is changing jobs, changing careers, changing lines of work, and he would like for you to travel from where he was once to where he will be now. He used to run a very successful inn in Philadelphia. He's giving that up. So instead of caring for people, he's caring for horses. So he's opening a brand new livery stable with all the things you need to board your horses, to care for your horses, to make your horses healthy and happy and speedy, I suppose, too. So check out Anthony Fortune, called here Tony Fortune, in downtown Philadelphia, colony of Pennsylvania. Today's sponsor, we thank you, Mr. Fortune. 99% fact, 1% fiction. From 250 years ago in the business community of Philadelphia. Interesting to think about making that such a change in the middle of the winter, as far as Tony Fortune is concerned. Maybe there's other times of the year that we would think about diving from one and diving into the other, but that's what he's doing. Thanks everybody for patronizing Mr. Fortune 250 years ago. We're doing top 5, and we're starting out right here. So let's get started. We've got a family in Philadelphia. We're staying in Philadelphia, in the vicinity of Tony Fortune's world. In Philadelphia, in mid-February 1775, 250 years ago today, making number top 5, and the 5th spot is a young family, a husband and a dad, a wife and a mom, and a baby to be in a few weeks. So 2 people or 3 people, young family in Philadelphia. But they've made our 5th spot, and here's why. They are black, they are enslaved, and in the middle of the month, 250 years ago right now, they are about to be sold, or they're advertised for sale. And in the advertisement, the same newspaper that broadcasts the changing of Tony Fortune's fortunes, in that advertisement it says they're not being sold for their faults. They're kind of being sold for their gifts. Dad and husband, gifted farmer. Mom and wife, gifted homemaker. And don't forget baby to be. So they're up for sale. Tough way to start our top 5 with spot number 5, but I thought it was appropriate as this young family faces a very unknown and very unnerving future as we head into the latter half of February 250 years ago. So that's number 5 in our top 5 today. Our world number 4 today is the Assembly from the colony of New Jersey. Let me back up. The majority of that assembly has decided that they're going to send another petition to England, to Parliament, hopefully to George III, the King. And in the petition, we've seen bunches of them. The Congress put together a package of them, shipped them over. But New Jersey's assembly, a majority of that elected political body, they want to have another go at it. So they list out their loyalty, describe it very, very vividly. They list out their grievances, describe them very vividly. And then they list out how they hope it can be resolved. And then fourth and finally, they list out their loyalty again. That's in the petition. We'll come back to this in a minute. I think that's spot number 4 in today's top 5. And let's go to number 3. Number 3. Number 3. 11 people. 11 people in the town of, or the county probably is a better way to say it, the county of Plymouth in the colony of Massachusetts. 11 people are in roughly their second week of a volunteer task that they've taken on. They've stepped up to take on this volunteer task in the county of Plymouth, and they're out conducting surveillance. They're out monitoring. They're out tracking. They're out watching very, very closely the activities, the comings and goings of anyone suspected of disloyalty to the colonial cause, of disloyalty to the boycott that's underway of British goods, of disloyalty to what the Congress has done, to what the colony of Massachusetts' provincial assembly has done. These 11 people, they're tasked with keeping track of things and reporting back. And they know they've got addresses, they've got homes specifically, they've got occupants precisely that they're following to make sure that they're not secretly supporting the king, the parliament, and the cause of imperial Britain. They will be punished. Whoever's names go on that list that these 11 people develop, those folks will be punished by the protesting authorities there in the colony of Massachusetts, the county of Plymouth. That's number 3. Number 2. Number 2. We have the people of Watertown. Not too awful far from the people of Plymouth, but the people of Watertown, a suburb, an outside village of Boston. They've been seeing things that are shocking. They've been seeing a regiment of British redcoats marching out, marching back, marching out, marching back. They're practicing, it appears. They're training, it seems, for something else that's going to happen. It's the 23rd Regiment of Infantry in the King's Army, the Redcoats, and the people of Watertown are watching them march out and march back, kind of over and over again. And that's weird. That's weird. And that's and the weird makes 2. The weird makes slot number 2 of our top 5. And now we're going to come in for number 1. Number 1. And it's a pair. Well, it's a big thing, and then it's a subset. So here it is. It's Parliament. Parliament's had a busy, busy week here in the middle of February, 250 years ago. Busy week in Parliament. And now, again, we did this with New Jersey, right, with the Assembly. The majority in Parliament has had a busy week. Let's say that. We're talking about roughly 80% of the House of Commons, 80% of the House of Lords. They've done 2 things over the past few days. Number 1, they've come to a collective sense as a majority that the colony of Massachusetts is in fact, really, truly, undeniably in a state of rebellion. That's number 1. Number 2, based off of that common view, common sense view perhaps for the 80% majority, they say now they're issuing a formal request of the King of England, George III, a formal request to do a little trio, a little package of 3 things. First of all, we're going to declare that treason is now underway in the colony of Massachusetts. Secondly, we want you, King, good King, Mr. King, to list the names, find specific people, the leaders of the treason. We want those people found, specifically, individual names. And then number 3, George III, we respectfully ask that you convene a commission that will punish these people for treason, that will hear the case, render a judgment, and it all kind of wrapped up here together, issue the punishment for having committed treason, these specific people. So a little three-part thing then is the second set of decisions that the 80% of Parliament makes over the course of the last few days. This is now going to be put into a document, sent on to the king. It's a formal request. Would you, our king, our sovereign, our monarch, would you do this now and make it fact, make it law, make it a royal decree in the British Empire as we go forward. Second, so that's the macro. A little bit of a micro thing here. That's part of number one, part of position number one in our top five. A member of the cabinet of the Prime Minister, Earl of Dartmouth. Earl of Dartmouth. He's the Secretary of State for Colonial Affairs. Kind of the American colonies is his purview, and he's written a letter. And he's got the official paper. He's got, boom, the official stamp in red from the British Crown, and that letter is going to be sent now west across the Atlantic. This is the same time that the Parliament has come up with its two-part decision. Dartmouth is issuing this letter to a specific guy named James Jauncey in the colony of New York, and he's telling Jauncey, you have been chosen to now be the newest member of the 9-member council, the upper council in the colony of New York. There's 9 slots, 8 had been filled. A guy, Sir William Johnson, had died some months ago, leaving an unfilled 9th position. You now, the lucky and the worthy Mr. Jauncey, you are now going to be the 9th member of the New York upper council that will advise the governor and serve alongside the assembly, the elected assembly there in New York. If you want to consider it a kind of an upper house, that's fine with me. This is how it's done. 3,000 miles away, you're the right person with the right connections at the right time. You've got a lot of money, you've got stature, you've got influence, you've got prestige. You're the one. And 3,000 miles away, we've made that decision, written it down, approved it. We've got the red stamp to show our approval. It's official. We're sending that letter across. So you got two things happening: Parliament with those decisions we talked about a second ago, and then this kind of little oddball offhand designation of the 9th member of the upper council of the colony of New York. That's how this is done as of 250 years ago in mid-February of 1775. That's our top 5. I want to thank you for hanging out today. Thank you for being a part of today. And we're going to see where things go, and I can tell you we're going to have a little bit of a surprise next week I can already tell with a couple of the top 5 decisions that'll be made. So I'm Dan Miller. You're on the 250 River with Dr. Dan. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Wipe off that snow from the sidewalk or put on the suntan oil, depending on where you're at. I hope you have a great rest of the weekend and a week coming up.